Then Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, took Zipporah, Moses' wife, after he had sent her back. Now, here's another character that the Bible doesn't tell us a ton about, Zipporah, but let me tell you something. When you look at what's there, you don't get a real good picture of Zipporah. You get the picture that Moses and Zipporah probably didn't have a very good relationship. Because what do we know about Zipporah? Well, we know he marries Jethro's daughter, he marries Zipporah, they have a couple kids, okay. But the first time we're introduced to Zipporah is in Exodus chapter 4, when basically God is going to kill Moses because Moses has not circumcised his son. And then Zipporah ends up angrily circumcising her son and throwing the foreskin at the feet of Moses. Now, why did the child need to be circumcised? Was it Moses' idea? It's God's commandment. So here's Moses trying to obey God, trying to serve God and do what's right, and what's his wife say? Oh, you're a bloody husband, you know. That's a bad attitude. She's not supporting him in serving God. Like he's basically serving God in spite of his wife, is the picture that we get. It's a sad story, right? Not only that, but here we get this little tidbit that Moses sent her home. But it says here that Moses' father-in-law is bringing Zipporah after he'd sent her back. So all of a sudden we're like, oh wow, Zipporah isn't there. We just learned that she's just coming back to be reunited with Moses. So get the picture. He takes Zipporah down to Egypt. He's following God's call on his life. He's going there to be the great deliverer of Israel, and he's heading down there. On the way there, he has a big fight with his wife. She throws a foreskin around. And then once they get down there, at some point, we don't know when, he ends up just sending her home. Like, just go home. You know what I mean? I gotta do this. You know, things are getting too intense. It's getting too difficult, or whatever the reason, he sends her back. Now, in Zipporah's defense, the good news is it says he sent her back. So at least we know that she didn't just forsake him or bail out on him and say, like, I'm out of here, nuts to you. You know, at least we know that Moses sent her back. So Moses obviously was either stressed out because she's just calling him a bloody husband and throwing things, or maybe just he's worried about her safety, or but for whatever reason, he sends her back. But then when we read about this reuniting of Moses with Zipporah, it's not exactly a poignant reunion here. Okay, because look what the Bible says here. It says that Moses' father-in-law took Zipporah, Moses' wife, after he'd sent her back, and her two sons, of which the name of the one was Gershom, and we'll talk about that in a minute, and Eleazar. It says in verse 5, and Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, came unto his sons and his wife unto Moses into the wilderness, where he encamped at the Mount of God. And he said unto Moses, I, thy father-in-law Jethro, am come unto thee, and thy wife, and her two sons with her. And Moses went out to meet his wife? No, Moses went out to meet his father-in-law, and did obeisance, and kissed him. And they asked each other of their welfare, and it's just no mention of even hi. Now, obviously, we know he's reunited with his wife, and yada, but we see here that everything about his wife that's mentioned is actually negative. There's really nothing good mentioned, just that they're fighting, there's anger, she gets sent home, and then when they're reunited, it's just the emphasis is on hanging out with the father, and you don't really see anything where he's hanging out with his wife that much. So the moral that we could draw from this is that we see people in the Bible that God greatly uses, and they're imperfect people. So God doesn't only use perfect people. So if your life isn't perfect, don't worry about it, because God can still use you, and you can still do great things for God. I mean, Moses is one of the greatest characters in the whole Bible. I mean, he did some of the greatest works, and yet his family life was messed up, and you know, he was having problems with his wife. We don't know the details. We don't even want to know the details. But the point is, you don't have to be a perfect person to live for God. And not only that, there's always going to be something in your life that's going wrong. Like, your life's never going to be perfect. And some people, the reason why they're so unhappy is because they're trying to have a perfect life, and they're unhappy because they always feel like they're almost there, and then something goes wrong. You know, I'm just about to turn the corner financially. It's round. You're in a round room trying to turn the corner. All right? There's no corner. And here's the thing, I guarantee this, and I'm not trying to just be a downer. I guarantee this, when you turn the corner financially and you're like, man, my finances are great, then your health will go bad. Or your relationships will go bad, or your job will go bad, or something. Why? Because our life is never going to be perfect. So you have to learn, like the Apostle Paul said, in whatsoever state you are, therewith to be content. content. Don't just be like, oh man, once I get my finances straightened out, then I'll be happy. Once I can get my marriage straightened out, then I'll be happy. Once I can get my wayward children straightened out and on track, then I'll be happy. Once I can get my church, man, if I could just get in the right church, if I could just get in a church that's preaching the truth, man, then everything's going to be great. Yeah, except what about all the people that are in a great church and still whining about something else and complaining and murmuring? Why? Because there are two kinds of people in this world, people that are content, people that are not content. It has nothing to do with their circumstances. If you're the Apostle Paul, you can be content in jail, you can be content in a shipwreck, you can be content in any situation, because he said, I've learned in whatsoever state I am therewith to be content. And then other people, you can give them all these luxuries, and they're always going to find something wrong with you. Well, but, look at Haman. Haman is the perfect example in the book of Esther. He's got 10 sons, he's got riches, power, fame, honor, and he literally says, well, none of this availeth me anything, as long as I see Mordecai the Jew, not bowing to me. So it's like one thing in his life just negates all the good things for him. And you know what? People are like that. Everything's great in their life. It's just, oh, my finances. It's like, what about your health? You're in perfect health. What about your wonderful wife? What about your wonderful children? Or it's just like, oh man, my marriage. Hey, are you saved? Are you going to heaven? Look, we all could count our blessings and think of all the good things going for us. I mean, look, I think all of us would like to be Moses at the judgment seat of Christ in heaven, ruling and reigning or whatever. I think all of us would like to have a name like Moses and have the works of Moses and the achievements of Moses. But here's the thing, Moses' life was not perfect. He had some ugly things in his life. He had some negative things going on. And so we need to understand that, number one, God uses imperfect people, so don't get discouraged because your life isn't perfect. You can still do something for God. You can still be greatly used by God. And number two, don't seek to have a perfect life, because you're going to be a super unhappy person since it's never going to happen. You're chasing something that doesn't exist. No one's life is perfect. No one's. And the people that you envy, because all you see is what they post on Facebook, where they really polish the apple and paint a really rosy picture, guess what? You don't see all the ugly things in their life. I guarantee you that they're there. Everybody has bad things and pain and suffering and just problems. And if it's not relationships, if it's not family, if it's not finance, it's always going to be something. Now you say, well, I don't know, I know some people, they just seem like they're always happy and everything. It's not because their life's perfect. It's because they've learned in whatsoever state they're in to be content. That's why they're always jovial and happy and they seem like everything's going great, because you know what? To them, it is going great, because they're just focusing on all the good things. And that's how we need to be, where we're thankful for what we have and not coveting what we don't have. And don't compare yourself to other people, because you don't know what they're actually going through. You compare yourself to other people, oh man, must be nice. They have problems, and if all our problems were hung on a line, you'd take yours and I'd take mine. So don't envy other people.